of Revelation.
Yeah. Okay.
But this, I've been contemplating this image literally for years. I have it framed back in my house, and I just I stare at it all the time. And this is the mathematical, talk about the Vesica Pisces. This was drawn for me by Peter Samsel. He's a mathematician. He's a professor of mathematics at Cornell, and he was at one of my presentations. And he did the Vesica. He did the Vesica, the Vesica. You know that. Yes, I'm gonna pass this around. But here's, can I just show you one thing as you're looking at it, so you can see this. Everybody's like horrified by this picture. It's my favorite. He puts the dragon. You know, his version of the dragon is actually a man, and his claws are out here. His dragon, William Blake's. And the Sun Woman of Revelation, you can see the heart, and she's pregnant, okay? So this is a very common image of a Sophia image with the moon underneath. She's pregnant. That represents, obviously, the future. And she's struggling to bring forth, brotherhood, compassion, all the things we're trying to bring forth. Creativity, right? Creativity and, compassion and a better world. And so, this dragon figure, if we don't demonize the dragon figure, and if we look at that as the residue of prior life, if we look at that as the habit nature and the tropes, Typhon, if we look at that as Set, Typhon, the old men that send the guys off to war, not the men themselves, but the belief systems,
Yeah.
So he's pressing down. So if you look at this guy as the principle of entropy, that it's the weight of inertia. Like if you decide you're going to meditate and you sit down and you try to meditate, good luck. Good luck. It's going to take you a long time because of the habit nature of the mind. When you go to work out in the gym, it's going to take you a long time. So in answer to Steve's question, this is my notion of the conflict and the friction. This friction is productive, I think, of our humanity, and I don't think our humanity has been born yet. I think that with the death of the monotheistic paradigm, with the end of the age of Pisces, we're entering a new age where humanity can be born within that friction. So I'm embarrassed to say this, but I had to live with this image, every day staring at me, okay, on the wall, before I understood, before I got that all the action is between the two of them. We live in this glorious creative friction. There wouldn't be sex without friction, and so we have to produce something. We have to, like Heidegger said, we have to create the space within which our humanity can be born. But if you don't understand that there's this pressure on us to not do that, to kill the seed within us, it's like we have this acorn seed. And my latest interpretation of Sophia is the span between the acorn and the oak tree. It's invisible. She governs the span of time, which is invisible now if you've got an acorn. She governs that span. She's the personification of a set of conditions and relationships that are required in the soil, the air, the lights, the elements, the squirrel pissing on it, the chewing it, and the ice and the snow. The set of conditions that are required for that acorn to become an oak tree. I mean, this is phenomenal stuff. This is.
So where are we headed then? If we're about to be born.
You won't know where you're headed unless you can kill, like the Buddhists say. If you meet the Buddha on the road, kill it.
Yeah.
You have to kindly and with compassion, say thank you for sharing God, but I've had enough. We need a new God image because I serve the unknown God. There's a source energy. I'm not an atheist and I'm not an agnostic. I serve the unknown God. This is a God of concepts that are saturated with blood sacrifice. This is a God image that is so unclean, that has become so contaminated with the blood of our boys sent to war, with animals being slaughtered. Mm-hmm. The first plumbing system was in Jewish temples when they slit the throats of the calves and the lambs from all the blood. They had to drain the blood out of the temples. We need a new God. Okay, or we need no gods. Forget the gods. Create a new story.
Okay,
create a new story.
Let's leave into what I've been trying to say, if I may. Hold on.
Okay.
I sympathize with most of what you are saying.
Yes,
Carl.
Yes.
I'm a little troubled by the way you posit monotheism as one of the poles, as the negative pole I think you'd be better off if you stuck to terms like fundamentalism and literalism and authoritarianism. Because it seems to me monotheism is just one more of many possible myths.
Yes.
And it can be done in an authoritarian fundamentalist way. So can polytheism, so can atheism, so can any system.
Actually, right,
Yeah.
right,
So,
right.
so I don't think you should posit your campaign as being against monotheism as such, because monotheism can be done in that way, but it can also be done in a more free, playful, creative way, as can any other system.
I think that's a really good point, and I tried to make the point that it was a useful glue to hold society together, and the dyadic structure comes from Miss Dyad, Miss Dyad, that's the structuring principle. If you're from a Neoplatonic,
and I'll say one thing, slightly in defense of Plato, noble lie or not.
Noble lie.
I wasn't attacking that.
I know, but it could sound like it. But Plato's noble lie, like everything else he does, I think Plato's a good example of someone who very extravagantly created his own mythology, but was quite explicit about it. I mean, no one but an idiot could possibly read Plato and believe that he should take Plato's stories as literal truth, or believe that Plato believed them as such. I mean, Plato, an interesting thing about Plato for his biography is, before he met Socrates, he had intended to be a tragic poet. And Socrates sort of talks him out of it. This is the story of Diogenes and Laertius. Socrates talks him out of it, but because poetry, is this sort of wobbly stuff that shadows that substance. But no, even though Plato may have tried to do it, what did Plato end up writing? What form did Plato choose to express his philosophy? Dramatic dialogue. I mean, it's not all that different from writing a play.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl. That's a very good point. Oh yeah. Did anybody need any handouts? Yeah. Oh, the cards. Okay. And I just need my Blake, the Vesica drawing of Blake back.
No, I'm not.
Does anybody want to?